Have some more pictures now. We learned from Lieutenant General Ricardo Sanchez that when Saddam Hussein was found, so too was $750,000 US. There it is, being put on display now in what I believe is Tikrit. Saddam Hussein was found with 2 bodyguards, a rifle, and apparently this sum of money, $750,000. A lot of people, Christiane, are quite rightly amazed at the whole image that this presents of Saddam Hussein, the man famous for standing with a shotgun on his hip, firing over the heads of the crowds as they march below him, to end up like this. It's a real image, isn't it?
It is, and it finally puts the lie to the swagger of Saddam Hussein over these last 12 years, in which he insisted to his people and to the greater Arab world that this was the defender of Arab honor, that this was the only person to stand up to the United States, that after every debacle, military debacle that he entered into, he managed to convince his people, or to attempt to, that he in fact was victorious. And I asked Iraqis about this. Did you believe it when, after fighting Iran to a standstill and losing 1 million people on both sides during 8 terrible years of war, did you believe it when he told you that Iraq had won and that he was victorious? Did you believe it when he told you that Iraq had won the mother of all battles, the war against the United States after the invasion of Kuwait? And they all said, no, we didn't believe it. We knew that Iraq had lost, but it was a victory for Saddam Hussein because he was still in power. So this moment is the final end to that tragic and bloody episode. He has been caught. The rest of the world can see that he did not go down a hero. He did not go down fighting, that he was captured in this disheveled and undignified state with video of him having his mouth probed and his ears looked at and his face shaved and all the rest of it, looking scraggly. And many people who perhaps wanted to look to Saddam Hussein as the last Arab hero are going to see that he was anything but.
What of those insurgents, or not so much insurgents, but I think the better term would be jihadists, who aren't there for Saddam Hussein, but are there because Iraq is providing an opportunity, if you like, a battleground from which to strike at the US?
Well, again, this is the absolute focus of intelligence and attempts to disrupt this guerrilla insurgency. The whole notion and the whole question of what is this insurgency made up of? Okay, if they're the Iraqi homegrowns, that's one thing, but what about the so-called foreign fighters? And we keep getting different answers from different commanders about how significant the foreign fighters are, how many are there. Some talk about, several hundred out of several thousand, some say that, of the several thousand people that the Americans have taken prisoner, only several hundred are from foreign countries. Others say, well, there are a lot more, and it's really being run by a lot of these foreigners, so to speak. European intelligence agencies, most notably from France, from Germany, from Italy recently, have talked about how Iraq has become the new pool for the foot soldiers of jihad. Anybody who wants to go and pick off or kill an American now sees Iraq as the place to do it. So that is something that they really truly believe is one of the major disadvantages and negatives from the war in Iraq, that far from bringing the war on terror and prosecuting the war on terror successfully, this has opened up another terrorist front, with Iraq being the new area, the new battleground for those jihadists who want to try their luck against Americans. And as we've seen, it's been incredibly bloody in a drip, 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 daily body count from Iraq for the last, certainly for the last 5 or 6 months in terms of American soldiers. And that is what the rest of the world is going to be looking to, and including the government of the United States and the people of the United States. Will this end the deadly attacks against our soldiers?
Showing you where Adwar is and about where he was captured, approximately 15 kilometers southeast of Tikrit. The second photo on the left shows you the area where there were 2 farmhouses a farmer's field. There was then a sheep's place where they had sheep stored. And then you see the hut in the middle where Saddam Hussein was hiding. It was very close to the Tigris River. We also found several boats on the other side of those tree lines right along the river. As you move over further to your right, you'll see that the place where he was living at was basically two very small rooms in an adobe hut. One was a bedroom that was cluttered with clothes, some new T-shirts, socks, etc. that were in there, and some sandals. On the right was a very rudimentary kitchen that did have running water and a few other things. As you move, and you can see where the hole was, where he was found hiding. As you again move over to the right, you'll see on the top there, although it is not exactly how it was very smooth at the time, where it was covered with dirt. There was an insert that was made of styrofoam, so it was very light to pick up out of the hole, and on top of that was a rug. And then below that was, in fact, the hole, as you see there. It was a very narrow hole that was not very big at all, and very interesting that, in fact, you could just about see some of these palace complexes from there, and I think it's rather ironic that he was in a hole in the ground across. You're talking about that evening? Well, he might not have been there. We have been to this area before. We have been down this road before. That doesn't mean he's been there the whole time. My guess would be he has probably 20 to 30 of these all around the country that he moved around. I've said from the beginning I believe he moves every 3 to 4 hours and very short notice, and I believe he moved probably to several locations such as this. I'm assuming we'll find out once we get more information from him. Yes, sir. Let me just, it's a long process, and this is not just something that happened overnight, and there was a lot of people involved in it. From the time we've gotten here, we've started to collect intelligence on a lot of high-value targets, to include Saddam Hussein. What we realized early on in the summer is that we believed the people we had to get to were the mid-level individuals, his bodyguards, and other people that we knew were closely associated with him. In addition, we knew it was always family and tribal ties. And so we tried to work through family and tribal ties that might have been close to Saddam Hussein. So there's a lot of people that were involved in this. As we continued to conduct raids and capture people, we got more and more information on the families that were somewhat close to Saddam Hussein. Over the last 10 days or so, we brought in about 5 to 10 members of these families who then were able to give us even more information. And finally, we got the ultimate information from one of these individuals. I will leave that question to someone higher than me. Sir.
How long was this kept in the area, and how much can you tell us about how he left the area and where he was?
I would say that he was probably here not more than an hour or so after he was captured. He was taken by helicopter down south.
Did he ever come back to this area to the headquarters?
I can't comment on that.